In the stillness of a grand New York mansion, where polished marble floors gleamed under a crystal chandelier and an old grandfather clock ticked softly, a test was set in motion. It was deliberate, cold, and precise. In the study, a safe stood, wide open, its contents exposed. Stacks of crisp $100 bills, gleaming gold bars, and a cascade of diamonds sparkling in the morning light. The man who orchestrated this, William Carver, a wealthy businessman hardened by years of betrayal, stood concealed behind a velvet curtain in the hallway, watching with sharp, expectant eyes. He thought he knew what would happen next. He was wrong. William, a self-made tycoon in his late 50s, had built his fortune from nothing but ambition. Yet, his wealth came at a cost: friends who turned greedy, partners who schemed, and a bitter divorce that left him with half his empire and none of his trust. He had learned to expect the worst from people, and so he devised this moment to test the one person in his home who seemed too good to be true: his housekeeper, Sarah Thompson. Sarah, 34, was a quiet woman with hazel eyes that carried unspoken burdens, a single mother of 2 boys, aged 6 and 8. She juggled her demanding job with hospital visits to her father, who was fighting a losing battle with heart disease. For 9 months, she had worked in the Carver estate, arriving before dawn, her auburn hair pulled into a neat ponytail, her uniform crisp despite the long hours. To William, she was an enigma: efficient, reserved, never asking for more than her paycheck. Her background check was spotless, almost unnervingly so. It made him suspicious. Could anyone be that honest? On a crisp Tuesday morning, William left, the safe open just before Sarah's scheduled cleaning of the study. He had his security team disable the cameras for exactly 15 minutes. No one would know what happened in that room except him. He wanted to see if Sarah would crumble under the weight of temptation or fortune within arm's reach. No witnesses, no consequences. At 9:03 a.m., Sarah stepped into the study, her cleaning caddy in hand. She didn't notice the safe at first, her focus on dusting the mahogany desk. Then, a glint of sunlight caught the open steel door, and she froze. Her duster hovered mid-air as her gaze locked onto the safe. She glanced toward the hallway: empty. The house was silent except for the clock's steady tick. Her breath hitched, and for a moment, she stood still, staring at the stacks of money and jewels. William's pulse quickened as he watched from his hiding spot. Sarah took a cautious step closer, her movements slow, deliberate. Her hand reached out, fingers trembling slightly, but they didn't touch the cash. Instead, she pulled a cloth from her apron and began wiping the safe's edge, careful not to disturb a single bill or gem. She cleaned with the same meticulous care she gave to every task, her face unreadable. Then, something unexpected happened. Sarah reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, worn photo. She checked the hallway again, ensuring she was alone, and set the photo on the shelf beside the safe. It showed 2 young boys, grinning wide, standing next to an older man in a hospital bed, his face tired but warm. Sarah's lips moved in a faint whisper, perhaps a prayer, perhaps a promise, before she kissed the photo softly and tucked it back into her pocket. Then, she gently closed the safe door and resumed her cleaning. William stepped back, his throat tight. He had expected hesitation, maybe a fleeting moment of weakness. Instead, he saw dignity, love, and a quiet strength that shook him. He slipped away before Sarah could notice him, his mind reeling. That night, William couldn't sleep. The image of Sarah's photo, her gentle kiss, and the untouched safe haunted him. He had spent years building walls around his heart, judging everyone through the scars of his past. Now, he realized he had nearly missed the rarest kind of person, one who chose integrity when no one was watching. The next morning, Sarah found an envelope on the kitchen counter, addressed to her in William's precise handwriting. Inside was a note: "Your honesty is worth more than anything in that safe. Your family deserves a life free from worry. Please accept the enclosed, not as charity, but as gratitude." Attached was a blank check, signed and ready. Sarah sank into a chair, her hands shaking as tears fell. The weight of medical bills, school fees, and endless stress lifted just a fraction. She hadn't taken a dime from the safe, yet her quiet choice had changed everything by the weekend. William visited Sarah's modest apartment not as her boss, but as someone seeking redemption. He sat at a small dining table, laughing with her boys as they showed him their toy cars. He brought paperwork to help her secure a new home in a safer neighborhood and offered her a promotion to manage the estate's staff, with benefits and a schedule that gave her time for her family. More than that, he offered his trust, a gift he hadn't given in years. Sometimes, The greatest tests are passed in silence, in choices no one sees. Sometimes, the richest lives belong to those who act with honor, even when the world isn't watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to Stories That Stay. We share heartfelt tales that remind us of the quiet power of humanity. Comment below, what would you do if no one was watching?